Lovely. So welcome to the first of a series of Care Leaders boot camps. And today we're focused on recruitment. My name is Mark Story and I'm the Head of Learning Innovation at Future You, so the company that is responsible for putting this on. But my background is in organisational development. So I've spent a number of years supporting organisations to improve the way that they manage people and improve their processes to make sure that they get the right people and keep the right people. And a big focus in that time has been on management, not just in the care sector, but there's been a lot of work that I've undertaken in the care sector. And my understanding of our small group today is that you will either be aspiring managers or you'll be managers looking to improve the way that things are done. You may well be very experienced managers. And what I'm hoping is that the fresh way that we're looking at some of these issues is going to give you an opportunity to reflect, to think, and to improve the way that your organisation and you operate in a number of areas. So we're looking at recruitment today, but we'll also be looking at creating a positive work environment, about supporting career development, making sure that there is effective communication, and thinking about the health and well-being of our staff as well. So I hope you can join us for all of them, but let's crack on with the recruitment bootcamp. Okay, so the things that we're going to look at today, and if you take anything away from the Care Leaders Bootcamp, the first thing that I want you to take away are the 3 principles for self-development. If you are armed with an appreciation and understanding of what they are, then I think whatever it is that you're looking at, you will be able to learn and improve, and you will have a method to do that. So in each of these Care Leaders boot camps, I'm going to be talking about the 3 principles of self-development, and unashamedly, unapologetically, I'm going to be driving that home in each of these sessions. Then we're going to start looking at recruitment and thinking, what is it really like to work at your organisation? And who is it that you really need? And those 2 things are going to help us develop a job advert and a job spec, a person spec. Then we're going to be thinking about the processes that you have in place to encourage people to apply, and the process that people go through, not just for applying for a job, but then the interview that happens. And I want us to really challenge ourselves in terms of, are all of those things the best that they can be? And if my experience is anything to go by, however good it is that your processes are, however well you understand what it's like to work at your place, and however clear you are about the kind of person that you need, there is always room to flex that, improve that, and change the way that you do that for better results. So at the end of this, I will summarize and hopefully give you some things to think about, some questions to answer, and I hope that will develop into an action plan that will improve the way that you do things at your organization. So, first of all, I want to share with you what I think might be the most important thing that you can learn to appreciate in your career. And that is our 3 principles for self-development. So, as I say, if you take anything away from today, I want you to take this away. So feel free to take notes, write these things down. Alex, are we going to be sharing the slide deck as well?
We'll share a recording of the session so people can have another look if they want to.
Brilliant. So 3 principles. First of all, self-awareness is your key to self-development. And through self-development, that will lead you to whatever success you want to achieve in whatever field you want to achieve it. And what I mean by self-awareness is you being honest with yourself about what it is that you're good at, what it is that you're not so good at, what do you know, how do you come across to other people, what kind of impact do you have on others, How much do you know about recruitment? How much do you understand about your organization? The more you can build an awareness of yourself and what your strengths and areas for development are, the more likely you are to be successful at improving. So that's principle number one. Self-awareness is the key to self-development. Principle number two, real life gives us all the opportunities we need to practice all the things that we need to practice to get good at. So if we're thinking about recruitment today, and we're thinking about, for example, the interview, then you will no doubt have interviews coming up, and building on your self-awareness. So I know that I'm not getting great results from my interviews, so let's think about how I might be able to change that. You will have the opportunity to practice that in the real world, and that will be your learning ground. But principle number three is we often need somebody else to help us unpack the lessons that life gives us. So we need somebody to observe or somebody to ask us questions to really make us think and help us build our understanding of what we're good at and what we're not so good at. So self-awareness is the key to self-development. Be honest with yourself about what you're good at and what you're not so good at. Then use real life to practice and improve on the things that you want to improve in, but involve other people to give you feedback, to observe, to ask you questions, to help you understand what went well, what could have gone better, to help build your self-awareness, and then practice again, and so on. So self-awareness, real life is the best classroom, and we need someone to help us unpack our lessons. So with that in mind, let's move on to recruitment. And the first couple of slides that I want to share with you is to get us thinking about what it's like to work at your organization. So what's it like at your place? What is it really like to work for you as a manager, or for your organization? And if I am somebody that is currently working in the supermarket down the road, or I might be working in another care organization, or I might be looking after my kids and they're just about, or have just moved into secondary school, or just about to go to university, and I'm looking to take a job on with my free time. Why would I come to you? What is it that you're going to do that will add to my life? Now, if you're just looking for a body to fill a shift, you will probably just get a body that will fill a shift. If you're looking for somebody that is going to add to your organization, you need to be clear about what it is that you're offering them. Why should somebody come and work for you? One way to look at this is to think about this particular model. Now, you may have come across this. This may be new to you. It was developed by somebody called Hertzberg. And what this is saying is that there are a number of factors that you need to look at. Hygiene factors and motivation factors. Now, hygiene factors are things that are just standard expectations within a job or within a workplace. So they're things like making sure the environment is safe, or agreeing the number of hours that you're going to work, or offering holidays, or making sure you get paid on time, or offering the mandatory training that you need to do in order to work in a place. Those things do not motivate somebody to come and work for you. They're things that would be demotivating if they weren't there. If I didn't get any holiday, then I would be pretty demotivated. But I'm not going to be thinking, oh, it's amazing that they give me a standard amount of holiday. It's things that are expected in the workplace. So, first of all, think about your hygiene factors. Have you got everything in there that people would expect in a workplace? So that is kind of basic question number one. And if you haven't got something there, like you don't offer uniform, or you don't offer breaks, or whatever it might be, what is it that you can do to make sure those standard expectations are met? I often see job descriptions where it talks a bit about the organization, and it talks about some of these hygiene factors. They do not motivate me. They won't make me move out of the supermarket, or they won't make me commit 40 hours of my life every week to come and work for you. But what will are the motivation factors. So these are things that I wouldn't necessarily expect, but they're a benefit of working for you. So are you paying above the minimum wage, for example? Or do you offer career development? Or have you got a nice group of managers that are encouraging and friendly towards people? Have you got a good team spirit? Do you have social events? Do you remember people's birthdays? Do you care for the people that work for you? Those are the things that you need to be describing about your organization to encourage me to move away from the supermarket or to commit the hours of my free time to come and work for you. But there are also some special things that you can add on top. So do you have awards or bonuses, or do you offer travel pay? Things that really wouldn't be expected. Are you a member of some kind of discount scheme? So if I come and work for you, I can get a discount at the cinema or at the local gym. Or do you offer people work-life balance? So rather than me having to work every Friday and every Saturday night, is there some system that makes sure that actually I'm looking after myself as well? Some of the care leaders boot camps that we'll come on to will cover some of these, and you might want to attend those, think about some of those factors and introduce them in your workplace. So hygiene factors, standard expectations, they are not things that will sell your organization. Motivation factors will be things that might attract me to come and work for you. And something special might be something that I might show off about to my friends to say, oh yeah, the place that I work at, you know what, they give me a discount on whatever it might be. And that makes it especially attractive to come and work for you. So activity number one coming off this Care Leaders Bootcamp for improving recruitment is to answer the questions from this slide and the previous slide. What is it like to work for you? What is it that you're offering somebody that might come and work for you? And what are the compelling reasons to come and work for you? Have a look at Tesco's job adverts, see what they say, see how they compare to yours, because they're probably your competition for the people that you're after. So now we're going to start thinking about the person that we're after. So we thought about the organization. Why should I come and work for you? Now let's think about the kind of person that you're looking for. Often, if you read a job advert, it can seem like you are looking for a superhero. And over time, you might be adding to that person spec and saying, well, they should be moving and handling trained. It'd be great if they had a clean driving license, because occasionally they might need to do some driving. They need to be able to administer medication. Oh, and of course, they need to be self-motivated, great communicator. And you're looking for all of these qualities in somebody, and you're offering a minimum wage role. Now, that is a real challenge. You're not going to find Superman or Superwoman. You need to be really clear about what it is that you really need. If you don't really need a clean driving license or a driving license at all, then don't put it in the advert. It will just put people off who haven't got one. If you really don't need somebody who has got moving and handling training, you can do that training yourself, then don't put that in. If you don't need 10 years experience, it would be nice, but if you don't need it, then don't put it in. Only ask for the things that you really need and think carefully about what you really need. So this next slide is based on lots of people's experience, but certainly my experience bears this out. If you think about when things go wrong, it's usually about attitude and behavior. The staff that we find, unfortunately, we have to get rid of are usually staff that are not showing the right attitude and behavior. And if we look at the real stars, the people that perform really well in our organization, it will also generally be about their attitude and behavior. It will be something that they do, something within them that makes them shine. It may be that they're particularly good at interacting with others. It may be that they're particularly good at learning things. It may be that they're particularly good at speaking to residents or looking after residents. It will be behavior and attitude that sets apart the people that are really good and the people that aren't so good. So think about when you're asking in a job advert for a set of skills, how important are these softer skills or these attitudes and behaviors? You can train somebody in medication or moving and handling a lot more easily than you can train them to communicate well with residents. So I would say, make sure you're recruiting people who are made of the right stuff, as opposed to people that are trained in the things that you need them trained in. So activity number 2 from the 2 previous slides, review your person spec in your job advert. Who do you really need? And to help you with that, think about the stars in your organization, the people that are really good and perform very well. What is it about them that makes them special? And can you find somebody like that? So we've thought about how you present your organization. We've thought about how you present the person spec and who it is that you're looking for. Now I want us to think a bit about the process of application. Now, I've seen the application processes in a number of different care organizations, and to be honest, they're pretty ugly often. So you might get sent a Word document or something like that, and it's full of spelling errors. It asks a number of questions multiple times. There's boxes that you have to tick that it's really hard to tick in the way that it's been formatted. So have a think about what your application process is. If I'm somebody that's applying for a job, is it easy for me to apply for that job? Because if I'm not particularly technical or tech-minded, and you've got something that is overly technical, then you might lose me. And in my role in your organization, I might not need those skills at all. I might not need to be technical. So are you inadvertently filtering people out just by having a difficult process for applying? Also think about, when you think about what it's like to work for you, is it exciting to work for you? Is it are you presenting your organization as a caring organization? Are you presenting it as an organization that really focuses on detail? Then make sure that your application process reflects those characteristics. If you're saying, oh, we're a really forward-thinking organization, and you've got a really old-fashioned process for application, then that's immediately going to make me think, well, were they telling the truth when they said that they were a forward-thinking organization? If you say that you're super organized, that you really care about people, but your application process is disorganized and doesn't really have people at the center of it, then again, I'm going to be thinking that those two things don't stack up. So if you're presenting yourself as a caring, forward-thinking, organized care organization, then make sure that your application process reflects that. Once I have applied for a job in your organization, then it may well be that I go through for interview. And again, the process of sifting from application to interview is part of that process. If that takes 6 weeks, you've lost me. If you're organized enough to be on it straight away and to get back to people within a couple of days, then you're more likely to grab me in the moment that I'm excited about the prospect of working for you. But at some point, you're going to invite me in for an interview. And you may well have experience of being interviewed or interviewing people. I want you to think, and this is where the self-awareness comes in, think about what you do and what you ask, what questions you ask. So are you asking the right questions, first of all, or are you just asking questions that have always been asked in interviews? Have you thought about what your person spec is? So you're looking for somebody who can handle a stressful environment, for example. And are you asking a question that is going to find out whether somebody can do that? If you're asking that somebody is a good communicator, then what questions can you ask that will bring out whether they are a good communicator or not? The challenge with interviews is that we often find people that are good at interviews will get the job. And it may be that in a care organization, I'm only going to be interviewed that once. I'm not going to spend my working life being interviewed. I need to demonstrate that I'm good at other things. So how can you use the interview process for that? So ask the right questions. Think about the type of questions that you ask. If you're trying to determine somebody's competence, then you might ask a closed question. And a closed question is a question that that gets a yes or no answer. So, are you moving and handling trained? Yes, no. Do you have an up-to-date DBS? Yes, no. Do you have right to work? Whatever it might be that you're asking, they would be yes, no questions. But if you're asking something about how good are you at dealing with change or when things don't go well, you might be asking an open question, which invites people to expand on their answer. So that might be, can you give me an example of where something has not gone to plan, but you managed to overcome whatever it was? And then you listen to the response. Also in the interview, make sure that there is time set aside for them to ask you questions. They need to check you out as much as you need to check them out. And be open, be honest, be whatever it is that you're saying you are. So if you're saying that you're an approachable, friendly organization, then make sure that you do that in an approachable and friendly way. And I would say be honest about the answers that you give to any questions. So if somebody says, is it likely that I'm going to be working shifts at short notice? If that's what happens, then yes, you need to make sure that people are prepared for the fact that they might be working shifts at short notice. So ask the right questions, ask the right type of questions, give them the opportunity to ask questions and provide honest answers. I think it's important to be prepared and be professional. You are showcasing your organization here, and review the questions that you would traditionally ask and make sure that they have a purpose and make sure that they're linked to what you're looking for. In our recruitment process, we have a competency element. So we have a set of questions that will determine whether somebody can do the job, and then we'll have a behavioral element. So will they fit in? Will they show the right behaviors and the right attitude? And give a realistic picture of your organization. If it's stressful, then explain when it's stressful and what you'd expect of people in that situation. So we come to the conclusion of our first Care Leaders Bootcamp. And I've talked about some of the factors that will improve the way that you recruit staff. And these, I hope, are your takeaways, that by implementing these things, you can build a more dedicated, a more skilled workforce that provides higher quality care to your care recipients and residents. So the first thing is be clear about what it's like to work for you. Understand what working for you is like. What are the benefits? What is it that you want to promote? What's special about you? What's the culture? Why would I give up 40 hours of my week to come and work for you? Second thing is find the right person. So find a fit, but don't ask for the impossible. Key attitudes and behaviors are going to be vital, and hard skills, things like moving and handling, things like medication and so on, can be trained and can be learned. It's a lot harder to learn and train the attitudes and behaviors in somebody that hasn't got them. So find a fit, but don't ask for the impossible. The third thing, review your application process. Make it as easy as possible and make sure it reflects what it is that you're saying about your organization. Does your application process make you look unorganized, unresponsive, and not thinking about the individual? If that's the case, then it might give me red flags about coming to work for you. And finally, invest some time in the interview process. Think about your questions carefully. Manage the interview that encourages dialogue as opposed to an interrogation, and save time for questions at the end. In terms of resources that are available for you, so we've got a whole bunch of really great resources that Alex has put together on our website. And if you scan this QR code or have a look at the recording, or I think Alex may have put the link in the chat, then you can have a look at all of these resources. It gives some great examples of questions that you might want to ask and the importance of what to look for in a person. And as we approach the half-hour mark, that is it. If you'd like to access and download your CPD certificate, then you can do that. Again, you can scan the QR code, or you can put the link in, follow the link in the chat that Alex has put in. And it leaves me time to ask, are there any questions?
Please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat. In the meantime, yeah, just to highlight what Mark has already mentioned, I've added 2 links into the chat. The first is where you can download the free interview question bank, which is specifically for social care roles and consists of 23 social care interview questions. I've also included the link where you can claim your CPD certificate. So all you'll need to do there is pop in your name and your email address, and then you'll receive your credit for attending this session. If you haven't already done so, I'd really encourage you to sign up to our Care Leaders Bootcamp, which is a 5-week email-based program, which covers topics like recruitment, but also goes into topics like effective communication, career progression, health and well-being, work environment, all of that good stuff. And that's actually what we will be covering over the next few weeks with Mark in our Learning Lounge series. So you've just attended the first Learning Lounge webinar. The next webinar is coming up next Tuesday at the same time. So I've just added a link to that into the chat. And that will all be all about effective communication. So yes, lots of links shared there. I'll be emailing out a recording of the session after we end today, and I'll include all of the links that I've just mentioned there as well. So if you don't have a chance to capture them, don't worry, they'll be there for you.
Lovely, thank you, Alex. So yes, are there any questions?